The quiet star had no name. It sat far from trade routes and old maps, glowing soft and pale against the dark. For a long time no one paid attention to it. There were no planets worth mining and no signals worth chasing. That was why the station stayed hidden for so long. The first sign was a shadow where no shadow should be. A deep scan ship passed the system by chance. Its sensors showed empty space, but the numbers did not agree. Something was bending light and gravity in a careful way. The ship slowed. More scans followed. Soon Earth received the message. Humans sent a small research fleet, not a war group. They did not know what waited there. They only knew it was old. The station was not large, but it was perfect. Smooth curves of dark metal circled the quiet star like a ring. No damage. No rust. No signs of battle. It looked asleep, not dead. John Harris stood on the main deck of the lead ship and watched the station grow larger on the screen. He was not a loud man. He did not speak unless he had something to say. His hands rested calmly behind his back as he studied the data. "It's still holding power," someone said. John nodded. "Not much, but steady." Emily Wright stood beside him. She was younger than John, sharp-eyed and always moving. Her tablet filled with numbers as fast as she could read them. Her heart beat faster, but she kept her voice even. "This station is older than anything we've seen," she said. "At least 1,000,000 years. Maybe more." "Then whoever built it is gone," John replied. "Yes," Emily said softly. "But they left something behind." The docking process was slow and careful. No one wanted to wake a trap. When the airlock sealed and pressure matched, silence filled the ship. For a moment no one moved. Then John stepped forward. The inside of the station was clean. Not polished but untouched. Light came from the walls themselves, dim and steady. Symbols ran in long lines across the floor and ceiling. They were not words but patterns, like thoughts turned into shape. Emily knelt near one of the symbols. "This isn't decoration," she said. "It's a record." John looked around. "A record of what?" She stood. "Of warnings." They followed the corridor toward the center. The station seemed to guide them. Doors opened before they reached them. Lights grew brighter when they slowed. It felt less like walking through a machine and more like being allowed inside. At the heart of the station stood the Galactic Keyhole. It was a tall ring wide enough to fly a ship through. The metal was darker than space, like it swallowed light instead of reflecting it. Inside the ring was nothing. No screen. No glass. Just empty air that felt heavy. Emily stopped breathing for a moment. "This is it," she said. John felt it too. A pressure in his chest, not painful, just present. Like the moment before a storm breaks. A low sound filled the room. Not a warning alarm. More like a deep breath. The keyhole woke. Light rippled inside the ring. Images formed and vanished, too fast to follow. Cities rose and fell in seconds. Stars burned out. Ships crossed space in shapes no human design had ever used. Emily stepped closer, her eyes wide. "It's showing possibilities," she whispered. "Not one future. Many." John raised a hand. "Careful." The keyhole slowed. The images sharpened. Now they showed worlds, species, choices. Some paths ended in growth and peace. Others in fire and silence. On the far wall, symbols changed. Emily moved to read them, her hands shaking. "It's a warning," she said. "A clear one." John waited. "The builders say this device should not be used lightly. It does not decide the future. It shows what could happen if choices are made, or not made." John looked back at the keyhole. "Why leave it behind then?" Emily swallowed. "Because they believed knowledge was better than fear. But they also believed most species would misuse it." As if hearing her, the keyhole changed again. This time it showed humans. Emily stepped back. "That's us." Scenes flashed. Humans exploring space. Humans arguing. Humans helping each other. Humans fighting. None of the paths stayed still. Each one changed when a single person acted in a different way. John frowned. "It can't lock us down." "No," Emily said. "It keeps adjusting." The station responded with a soft pulse. New symbols appeared, brighter than the others. Emily read them slowly, her voice quiet. The builders studied many species. Most followed clear patterns. Fear. Control. Obedience. Their futures were easy to map. John crossed his arms. "And us." Emily looked up. "It says humans don't fit." The keyhole showed another image. A human ship in trouble. No clear command. No single leader. But people acted anyway. Someone made a mistake. Someone else fixed it. The outcome changed. Again and again the future shifted. John felt a strange mix of pride and worry. That's not something a machine likes. No, Emily agreed. It scares systems that depend on order. The warning symbols grew larger, filling the walls. The message was simple. Do not trust the future you see. Do not surrender choice. Do not look too long. Emily stepped away from the wall. They're warning us about ourselves. The keyhole dimmed as if tired. John let out a slow breath. We need to report this. Yes, Emily said. But we also need to be honest. About what? She looked at the ring one last time. That this thing cannot control us. And that makes it dangerous. John nodded. Not because it will harm us. But because someone will try to use it to rule others, Emily finished. The station lights softened. The keyhole went quiet, not sleeping but waiting. As they turned to leave, Emily felt the weight of it settle into her thoughts. Humans had found a door that showed tomorrow. But the door itself was asking a question. Not what will happen, but who decides. And for the first time since entering the station, Emily felt certain of one thing. The warning was not for the past. It was for them. The station felt different now. It was not silent anymore. A low hum moved through the walls, steady and patient. The galactic keyhole stood at the center, dark and awake, like an open eye that never blinked. Humans returned in small groups. Scientists, engineers, and observers came in shifts. No one stayed too long. The warning was respected, but curiosity still pulled them back. Michael Reed arrived on the third day. He was a systems expert, known for fixing machines that did not want to be fixed. He did not talk much. He listened more than he spoke. When others argued, he watched the numbers. Michael stood a short distance from the keyhole, his tablet floating beside him. The device reacted to presence. When people stepped closer, light moved inside the ring, slow and careful. The keyhole began to show futures again. This time the images were clearer. Great alien empires filled the space inside the ring. Massive fleets moved in perfect lines. Cities stretched across planets, clean and ordered. Everything followed rules. Then small moments appeared. A delayed command. A single officer choosing silence instead of truth. A law followed when it should have been questioned. The image cracked. The empire collapsed. Emily Wright watched with tight lips. That one fell because no one broke the rules. Another image replaced it. A powerful species ruled hundreds of systems. They crushed smaller worlds to keep peace. The future showed strength and stability. Then one small choice changed. A worker refused an order. A guard hesitated. A child was spared. The future shifted. The empire burned itself apart within decades. Laura Bennett, watching from the back, whispered, "Big things fall because of small choices." Michael did not look up. Or because systems cannot handle change. The keyhole continued. It showed species after species. The pattern stayed the same. Those who obeyed strict rules had futures that were clear and easy to predict. The keyhole followed them like a map. Alien records appeared on the walls, translating into human language. This device works best on species with fixed behavior. Emily read aloud. They followed fear, control, or hierarchy. Their futures were stable because they were narrow. Michael frowned. That's not stability. That's limitation. The keyhole shifted again. Now it showed humans. The image blurred at once. The system tried to lock onto a single future. It slowed the flow. It adjusted settings. Symbols flashed faster. Nothing stayed still. One future showed humans building large alliances. Another showed humans splitting into groups. Another showed humans leaving known space behind. None of them held. Michael stepped closer. "That's odd," he said quietly. Emily turned to him. "What is?" "It's responding to our questions," he said. "Not just showing futures. It's reacting." "How can you tell?" Michael tapped his tablet. "The output changes when different humans ask the same thing." As if hearing him, the keyhole brightened. Emily took a careful step forward. "Show the future of humanity." The ring glowed. A dozen futures appeared at once. Some bright. Some dark. Some calm. Some violent. They overlapped and broke apart. Emily stepped back. "It can't choose." Michael nodded. "Now watch." He stepped forward himself. "Show the future of humanity." The images changed. Not completely. But enough. Some paths faded. New ones appeared. The timing shifted. The order changed. Michael's heart beat faster. "It's not broken," he said. "It's confused." Laura crossed her arms. "Machines don't get confused." "This one does," Michael replied. "Because it expects obedience." Emily looked back at the alien records. The builders say free choice causes errors. Michael let out a short laugh. Then the error is thinking choice can be removed. The keyhole pulsed again. A new image formed. Humans stood before the device in one future. They followed its predictions closely. Laws were made from its visions. Decisions were approved only if the keyhole agreed. The future dimmed. That path ended early. Another future appeared. Humans used the keyhole as a guide, not a rule. They argued with it. They ignored it sometimes. They made mistakes. That future stretched longer. Then it split. Again and again the future refused to settle. Emily whispered, "It doesn't like us." Michael shook his head. "It doesn't understand us." The alien records updated themselves. New symbols appeared, sharp and bright. Human behavior creates unstable projections. Michael leaned closer. Unstable doesn't mean wrong. The keyhole suddenly showed a warning image. A species once like humans. Curious. Adaptive. They found the keyhole long ago. They tried to force it to give one answer. The result was silence. Their civilization ended not in war but in stillness. No growth. No change. No future worth showing. Emily stepped back, fear tightening her chest. They broke themselves. Yes, Michael said softly. By trusting certainty over choice. The room stayed quiet. Then something changed. The keyhole slowed. The images of humans stopped fighting each other. Instead they showed moments. A medic choosing to help an enemy. A pilot trusting instinct over command. A teacher admitting a mistake. The keyhole did not show results this time. Only decisions. Michael felt a strange respect. "It's learning," he said. Emily looked at him. "Or recording." Michael straightened. "Either way it can't rule us." The alien records flashed one final note. Species that cannot be predicted must be contained. Laura's voice was sharp. Contained how? No answer came. The keyhole dimmed slightly as if pulling back. Michael stepped away, his hands shaking now that the moment had passed. "This device was made for control," he said. "Not guidance." Emily nodded. "And we don't fit inside it." The future images faded completely. For the first time the keyhole showed nothing. Just empty space. Not broken. Waiting. Michael looked at the dark ring and felt a chill. A machine built to see tomorrow had met a species that changed today. And it did not know what to do with them. The message from the alien groups arrived without warning. It was short. Cold. Clear. Stop using the keyhole. The signal repeated in many languages, all carrying the same fear. The keyhole was not just a tool to them. It was a memory of old disasters. Of empires that collapsed when control slipped away. The alien council watched the human station from far away. They saw humans move freely inside it. They saw arguments, changes, and unanswered questions. To them this looked like chaos. They did not trust chaos. Laura Bennett stood in the council chamber, her image projected across light and air. She kept her hands folded, her voice calm. She had learned that fear listened better to patience than to force. "We are not trying to rule the future," she said. "We are trying to understand it." An alien speaker answered at once. "Understanding leads to use. Use leads to loss of control." Laura did not deny it. "Control is not the same as safety." Another voice cut in. "Your species changes too fast. The keyhole amplifies this risk." Laura nodded slowly. "Yes. That is why we must be careful, not blind." Silence followed. The council did not agree but they listened. "We will limit tests," Laura continued. "No weapon use. No forced outcomes. Observation only." The reply came after a pause. "One final test. Then stop." Laura accepted. She knew refusal would bring worse pressure. Back at the station the crew prepared carefully. This test would be small. Controlled. Short. David Miller sat in his pilot seat, checking systems for the third time. He was not part of the science team. He was there in case something went wrong. Things often did. "David," a voice came over the channel. "Stay on standby." "Always am," he replied. The test began. The keyhole brightened, slower than before. The ring filled with light that bent and folded, forming paths and moments. Sensors tracked energy flow. Everything stayed within limits. For 10 seconds. Then the station shook. Alarms screamed. Red lights flooded the corridor. Energy spiked beyond predictions. "Shut it down," someone yelled. Controls did not respond. The keyhole pulsed hard, flooding the room with unstable images. Futures collided. Systems failed under the load. David did not wait for orders. He saw the warning lights. He saw a crew still inside the inner chamber. "Inner ring team, move now," he shouted. No reply. A blast door began to close, slow and damaged. David launched. His ship scraped the station hull as he pushed forward. Sparks flew. He cut power to non-essential systems and rerouted thrust by hand. Command tried to stop him. "Pilot Miller, stand down." He ignored it. The inner chamber lost gravity. Tools and people floated in panic. Smoke filled the air. David forced his ship into position and fired a magnetic clamp. The connection locked with a heavy crash. "Hold on," he yelled. He pulled. The blast door jammed halfway, then tore open. Air rushed. Alarms peaked. One by one, the crew reached the hatch and crossed into safety. The last person barely made it before David cut loose and pulled back. The station stabilized. Silence followed. David's hands shook as he powered down. He waited for anger. For punishment. Instead there was quiet. Laura arrived minutes later. She looked at the damage, then at David. "You disobeyed orders," she said. "Yes," he replied. "And saved 12 lives." "Yes." She nodded once. "Thank you." Inside the chamber, the keyhole dimmed. Alien observers watched the data feed in shock. The system tried to classify what happened. Order was ignored. Protocol was broken. Outcome improved. The keyhole searched its records. No match found. On the wall, alien symbols changed rapidly, then froze. Unresolvable action detected. Michael Reed read the data in silence. "It can't process what he did." Emily Wright whispered, "Because it wasn't planned." Laura looked at the dark ring. It was chosen. The Alien Council sent another message. "What occurred violates prediction models." Laura answered calmly. "A human acted." The reply came slower this time. "This behavior threatens stability." Laura's voice did not shake. "It preserves life." No answer followed. The keyhole recorded the event as an error. But the humans knew better. It was not an error. It was the reason the warning existed in the first place. The station was quiet again, but it was not calm. After the failed test, no one rushed back to the keyhole. Crews moved slowly. Voices stayed low. The air felt heavy with thought, not fear. Everyone knew something important had happened, even if they could not yet explain it. Anna Brooks arrived 2 days later. She was not a scientist or an engineer. She had never flown a ship into danger. She was a teacher. Her job was to help people understand ideas that did not fit into numbers. Anna walked through the station with careful steps, reading the symbols on the walls. She did not touch anything. She only watched and listened. Emily Wright walked beside her. "The aliens think this device is dangerous because we can't be predicted." Anna nodded. "That's not what they fear most." Emily frowned. "Then what?" "Choice," Anna said simply. They stopped near the keyhole chamber. The ring stood dark and still, like it was resting after a long effort. Anna looked at it for a long time. "The builders did not fear power," she said. "They had more power than we can imagine. They feared what happens when choice cannot be controlled." Michael Reed joined them carrying a data pad. "The keyhole fails when systems don't obey fixed rules." Anna smiled gently. "Then it's not failing. It's telling the truth." They gathered the crew in a wide circle, not in rows. No screens. No commands. Just people. Anna spoke calmly, her voice steady. "The ancient aliens built the keyhole to protect order. They believed stability came from control. But control only works when everyone follows the same path." She pointed to the symbols glowing faintly on the wall. "When a species obeys without question, the future becomes narrow. Easy to see. Easy to guide." Laura Bennett crossed her arms. "And easy to break." "Yes," Anna agreed. "Because when change comes, there is no room to move." Emily thought of the falling empires they had seen. Perfect systems that shattered from one small choice. "The keyhole breaks when choice appears," Emily said slowly. "It doesn't break," Anna corrected. "It panics." Michael looked up. "That's why it records human actions as errors." Anna nodded. "To it we are mistakes. Because we do not act the same way twice." David Miller sat quietly at the edge. "I didn't plan what I did," he said. "I just moved." Anna looked at him. "And others followed." "They trusted me," David said. "Or trusted themselves." "That is the point," Anna replied. She turned back to the keyhole. The warning was never, "Do not use this device." The warning was, "Do not surrender choice to it." The room stayed silent. Anna continued, "Species that rely on control use the keyhole to lock themselves into one future. They remove doubt. They remove debate. They remove mistakes. Michael spoke softly. And they remove growth. Yes, Anna said. The keyhole was never meant to guide life. It was meant to test obedience. Laura felt a chill. So the builders learned this too late. They learned it in time to leave a message, Anna said. Not for their kind. For whoever came next. Emily looked at the ring again. It shows us what happens when choice disappears. Anna nodded. And what happens when it stays? The keyhole brightened faintly as if reacting to the words. Images formed, slower now. Not futures. Moments. People talking. People arguing. People admitting mistakes. People changing their minds. The device did not show outcomes. Only decisions. Michael stared in disbelief. It's not predicting. It's observing, Anna said. Laura stepped forward. Then why do the aliens fear us so much? Anna answered without hesitation. Because we survive systems that were meant to control us. She gestured to the crew. You didn't follow one voice when things went wrong. You talked. You argued. Someone acted. Others adapted. David shifted in his seat. It was messy. Anna smiled. Life is messy. The alien records updated again, lines of symbols reshaping themselves. Human cooperation increases uncertainty. Anna read it aloud. That is not a flaw. Emily felt a strange relief. So the keyhole cannot rule us. No, Anna said. But it can remind us why we must rule ourselves. The warning finally made sense. The ancient aliens had built a perfect mirror. It reflected the future of those who refused to question. It shattered when faced with choice. The keyhole dimmed again, calm this time. Anna turned to the group. The decision ahead is not about using the keyhole. Laura nodded. It's about who we become if we keep it. They all understood now. Humans survived not because they were stronger or smarter. They survived because they chose together, failed together, and changed together. And no machine built on control could ever understand that. The decision did not come in one loud moment. It came quietly. After long talks, shared meals, and honest arguments, the crew gathered one last time near the heart of the station. No one shouted. No one rushed. Each person spoke and each person listened. The galactic keyhole stood before them, dark and still. Laura Bennett folded her hands. We could keep using it, she said. Slowly. Carefully. Michael Reed shook his head. Careful use still changes how people think. We would start trusting it more than each other. David Miller looked at the floor. Next time, someone might wait for permission. Emily Wright felt that truth settled deep inside her. Anna Brooks spoke last. This device shows futures, she said. But it also tempts us to stop living in the present. Silence followed. Then Emily stepped forward. We didn't come here to rule tomorrow, she said. We came to learn who we are. Laura nodded. And we learned. The vote was simple. No ranks. No command weight. They would seal the keyhole. Not because they feared it, but because they respected what it could do. The process took hours. Energy links were carefully shut down. The keyhole resisted at first, not with force but with light. Images flickered one last time inside the ring. Not disasters. Not victories. Just choices. A hand reaching out. A voice speaking up. A step taken without orders. Emily watched with quiet sadness and calm pride. When the final seal engaged, the ring went dark. Not broken. Close. Across the galaxy, alien observers watched in disbelief. Humans had been given power beyond measure. And they had stepped away. The ancient station reacted in a way no one expected. Hidden systems woke for the last time. Walls shifted. Symbols burned brighter than ever before. A final record began to write itself. Michael translated the symbols slowly. Final observation, he read aloud. Species, human. Behavior, non-deterministic. Response to foresight, rejection. Reason, ethical restraint. The last line took longer to form. Classification, unknown variable. The alien council went silent. For the first time in their long history, they faced something their systems could not contain. Not a weapon. Not a rebellion. A choice. Preparations to leave began soon after. The station would be abandoned. Its orbit adjusted so it would drift into quiet space, far from trade paths and borders. No signs would point to it. No warnings would repeat. It would wait. Or sleep. Emily stood at the docking hatch as the last transport powered up. She turned back once more. The sealed door looked simple now. Just metal and shadow. She remembered the futures it had shown. The empires that fell. The paths that vanished when one choice changed. We could have looked further, she said softly. David stood beside her. Yeah. But then we would stop looking at each other, she replied. He smiled. That's not who we are. The ship pulled away from the station. Outside, the quiet star glowed on, unchanged. As the human fleet left the system, alien records updated across distant worlds. Old assumptions failed. New questions formed. Control was not strength. Prediction was not wisdom. Power was not safety. The galaxy did not change with fire or conquest. It changed with restraint. And somewhere in the dark, an ancient machine waited, unable to see the future of a species that chose when not to ask for it.